Hey there, how's it going everybody? Matt Johnson here and welcome to another episode of Beer and Watches. Now on today's episode, we are going to be comparing my Tissot open heart watch that I'm wearing on my wrist right here to a Seiko Presage. So without further ado, time's a ticking, so let's get stuck in. Hi guys, happy Wednesday, Matt Johnson here. It's hump day, you've made it halfway through the week, so the biggest of congratulations. Now on today's episode, I got a message on my YouTube channel from KV, and KV said, can you compare Tissot open heart to the Seiko Presage? So I thought that's what we'd do in today's episode. Now before we do this review, if it's your first time here, please go ahead and click on the subscribe button over here to the right of the screen. I'd love you to become a part of my Beer and Watches family. I answer all my reviews and get back to all my subscribers. Also, don't forget to click on that bell button up there to the right of the search bar so you don't miss a single episode 3 times a week. And if you enjoy this video, leave me a thumbs up and a comment in the comment section below. Now there are a lot of Seiko Presages out there. There are also a lot of Tissots out there, but I thought we'd do a side-by-side comparison of the Tissot open heart with the Seiko Presage open heart. Now I don't actually own the Seiko Presage, so what I thought we'd do is spin the camera around, go on my laptop and look at the side-by-side on Amazon and compare the two apples to apples. The design, the price, the features, the functionality, the wearability and all that cool stuff. So without further ado, let's do that right now. Let's swing the camera around and take a look at these two watches and give you my thoughts and my review as to which one I think is worth purchasing. So here we are on my laptop. Now I've got queued up, first of all, the Tissot Tradition Powermatic 80 here on Amazon, which I'm wearing on my wrist. And I should mention that these are on Amazon.com. So these are in US prices. And I've also got loaded up the Seiko Men's Presage automatic cocktail leather watch right here. So we're going to compare the two. Now, first of all, let's take a look at the Tissot. The Tissot right here is coming in at $453.42. You can get them at different prices. If you want, you might want to check out chrono24.com, also eBay, Amazon. I always look at different places online when I'm thinking of buying a watch to see which one sells it for the best price. Now, there are lots of Seiko Presages. I've happened to pick the one that closely represents the Tissot the best. So again, this is an open heart, looks very similar with a black face, black leather band, stainless steel case, as you can see. The difference being that on this one, the open heart is at the 12 o'clock position, and on this one on screen here, as you can see, it's at the 9 o'clock position. But there are the two watches. Now, I've also pulled one other site up here for reference. This is a Long Island watch company, and the reason that I pulled this up is they have multiple images of the watch, the side of the watch and the exhibition caseback, whereas the Amazon listing right here doesn't have those. It just has the watch and the box. So first of all, let's take a look at the Tissot Powermatic 80 open heart here on Amazon.com. It is a round case. It's a 40mm case diameter, as you can see, 20mm bandwidth, black band color, black dial, automatic movement, stainless steel case, sapphire crystal face, and it's a genuine calf leather strap. Now, what else can I tell you about this watch? Well, in the description here below, we can see the model year is 2016. It is a 10mm case thickness, and it comes in at about 2.2 ounces for that automatic watch. Now, let's take a look at the Seiko Men's Presage automatic open heart dress watch. Now this one comes in at $356, which is already $100 less than the Tissot. It also is a black face, black strap, open heart stainless steel case. This one has a case diameter of 40.5 millimeters. It's got a leather band. This one is a 22 millimeter bandwidth as opposed to 20 on the Tissot. Now this says here quartz movement. That is completely wrong. I don't know why they put that. It's quite obvious to see from the open heart here that it is an automatic movement, and in fact it is. So just ignore that. I think that's a typo. This one has 23 jewels, self-winding automatic movement with hackable second hand. Now I should mention that the second hand on the Tissot is also hackable, so those two are the same qualities on both. Push button deployment clasp, which this one has as well. Actually, it says here deployment, but it's actually deployant. I've talked about this before in one of my videos. You can go on deployment in the Army wearing a deployment clasp, but you can't go on deployment in the Army wearing a deployment clasp. So there you go. Now this one has a hardlex mineral crystal, so not a sapphire crystal, so it's not going to be as scratch resistant. It has a date display, it says, which it absolutely doesn't. So I don't know what's going on here with this Amazon review. Hey guys, if you're buying watches on Amazon, it's important that you look at the picture and look at the description and put the two together. They aren't always the same, and I can see right here by looking at this that it doesn't have a date window. However, it has silver tone hands, that is true, hand winding capability. It's got a 12mm case thickness, water resistance of 5 ATMs, which is 50 meters. Let's compare the two. So first of all, they're both round cases, as you can see, very, very similar styles. Taking a look at the watch face, this one here has got kind of what would you describe that as? I guess a sunburst kind of face on it, which is kind of cool. It says made in Japan down there between the 6 and 7 o'clock positions. It's got the open heart at the 9 o'clock position. It has an hour, minute, second hand, which is known as an HMS dial, standing for hour, minute, and seconds. A push-pull crown, meaning the water resistance on this watch is not that great. And I love the way that the crown has got kind of that taper to it there. It's always nice to get a taper on the crown because it means that you're going to get a good grip of it when you're trying to pull it out and set the watch. It's got applied hour markers, which are in this raised kind of finish, and it's got a outer stainless steel ring around the open heart at the 9 o'clock position. We can see some gold in there. We can also see some pink jewels there. Now the jewels are not real jewels, they are synthetic jewels, and they are designed to stop the watch movement rubbing on itself and damaging the movement. Now, going back to the Tissot, we can see it's a very similar look. However, as opposed to the Seiko, which has just the hour markers, this one has got a Roman numeral marker at the 12 o'clock position. It then has hour markers. These are applied as with the Seiko, however, they are not the kind of diamond cut finish hour markers. These are simply flat markers on there again, but they are applied, and between the applied hour markers we have a minute markers all the way around the case. We've got Tissot 1853 and Powermatic 80. We've also got Swiss made logo at the 6 o'clock position, as this is a Swiss movement as opposed to the Seiko, which is a Japanese movement. Now going back to the Tissot, we've got the crown here at the 3 o'clock position. This one is not as nice as the crown on the Seiko. You can see on the Seiko it's slightly larger. It's got kind of an inwards bevel, making it easier to grip, whereas the crown on the Tissot is just basically a smaller crown with no bevel to it, no taper. And I can tell you, wearing the watch here on my wrist, that that crown is a little difficult to get a hold of for my big fingers, so that certainly is better on the Seiko Presage. This one has got, again, a stainless steel case with polished finish into it, very, very similar to the Seiko, and it's also got a leather strap. This one has got a 40mm case, whereas the Seiko has got a 40.5mm case, so about the same. As we said before, it's got a 20mm bandwidth, whereas the Seiko has got a 22mm bandwidth, so the band's going to sit a little bit thicker on the wrist. They're both about the same as far as the strap goes. The straps look very, very similar. The Tissot comes in this great presentation case. I've actually got the case right here. I love the Tissot cases. They've got the little white cushion inside. Very, very nicely done indeed. And in the back here in this slot are where the books go. You've got the story of a watch company, which is a beautifully produced book, and then you've got the Tissot catalog, which is also very, very well produced and high end. So I do love the packaging and the finishing and the little touches that Tissot puts into packaging their watches. Very, very nice indeed. Seiko, on the other hand, their watch packaging is a little more basic. As you can see, I can't see inside there, but I'm pretty sure you're going to open that up. It's going to maybe have a little cushion in there and some instructions, but that's about it. Now going back to the Tissot watch here, we can take a look at the back. We can see that it's got an exhibition case back, which is essentially a glass case back, so that you can see the movement inside. Now this rotor is black, whereas if you take a look here, the rotor on my Tissot open heart is actually silver stainless steel. It does have the Tissot logo embossed on there and some finish into the rotor, just the same as this one, but this one is showing it as black. Now, also on the back there, you can see stainless steel case. It's got a 3-bar, 30-meter water resistance. This is a little less than the Seiko. The Seiko has a 50-meter water resistance, but both of these watches are not going to be good for swimming, diving, or showering. Really, that means the water resistance, so the pressure the watch would be under if it was that far underwater, not the fact that it can go that far underwater and not let water in. I hope that makes sense. They both have a deployant clasp here. I can show you the deployant clasp on mine. Seiko is a push button deployant clasp, whereas this one is simply a fold over deployant butterfly style clasp there, which works very, very well and can be adjusted on the band. It adjusts down to about 6-inch and all the way up certainly fits my 7.5-inch wrist with a couple of holes spare. We can also take a little look at the around the watch view here on the turntable. As you can see, stainless steel case, very, very nice. Tissot's got a sapphire crystal face, so the scratch resistance on this is going to be better than the Seiko, because the Seiko has the Hardlex crystal face, which again is not going to be as scratch resistant as the Tissot. We can see that this rotor is gold, which is, I think, a nice finish against the stainless steel workings of the movement inside, and it says there that it's got 24 joules. I'm actually not sure how many joules the Tissot has, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure how many joules this has. I could look that up, but again, generally it's anywhere from 17 to 24 joules on a watch like this. Now back to the Seiko. Again, it's got a stainless steel polished case back. It looks like a screw down case back, because I can see the little notches there in order to unscrew the case. Tissot here is essentially a pop-off case back, I believe. I don't believe that's a screw down. Yeah, that's simply a push pop-off case back. I really like the look of that gold rotor there. Again, if the Tissot that I had the black rotor there, then maybe I'd like that a little bit more, but this one is just a stainless steel rotor. Well, there you go, guys. That's my side-by-side comparison of the Tissot Open Heart Powermatic 80 to the Seiko Presage. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, I'm not sure exactly what the power reserve is on the Seiko, but I believe it's probably about 40 hours, whereas the power reserve on the Tissot Open Heart is 80 hours. It's got the Powermatic 80 movement in there. Now, this essentially means that if you don't wear the watch, the spring is going to be wound enough to last for 80 hours before, if you don't put it on in that 80-hour period, whereas on the Seiko Presage, it's only going to last for 40 hours, so essentially a little bit less than 2 days. Is this a big deal? Well, not really. If you're wearing the watch every day, then the automatic rotor in there is going to be winding the movement while you're wearing the watch on both watches. But if you did want to take both watches off and leave them without wearing them, for example, if you had a watch collection and you're not wearing the same watches every day, then the Tissot Open Heart is going to last longer, and indeed is going to last for about 3.5 days on its power reserve, which is more certainly than the Seiko. Now, which one do I prefer out of these two? Well, you know, that comes down to personal preference. People who love Seikos absolutely love Seikos, and I have a Seiko. I have a Seiko SKX 007 with red modded dial and bezel that I completely adore. At the same time, Tissot also make great movements, and they've got their own Powermatic 80 in-house movement in there, and they are Swiss made. Now, if you really like the Swiss made logo on the watch and you are a bit of a Swiss watch snob, then you probably want to go for the Tissot. However, if you want a great watch and you don't care about the Swiss made logo, then the Seiko Presage watches are certainly a great choice. Now, you've also got to consider that the Seiko Presage Open Heart that we're looking at here is pretty much a direct apples for apples comparison to the Tissot Open Heart. However, online right now on Amazon, it's $100 less. Now, you can buy a good Vostok Amphibia dive watch for $100 with that extra money. So you could actually have two watches for the price of one. Now, I will put links to these watches in the description below where you can purchase them. I'll also put links to Tissot's website and Seiko's website as well, so you can take a look at their full range of watches. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. Let me know in the comments below which you prefer. Do you prefer Seiko or do you prefer Tissot, and why? That's it for today's episode. Again, if you're not subscribed, please do click on the subscribe button right here. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail on the very best in beer news and watch reviews. Also, if you enjoy this video, please do leave me a big thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section below. It means the world to me, guys. It takes you just a couple of seconds, but means the world to me. And rest assured, if you leave me a comment, I will get back to you. I reply to each and every single one of my comments because my subscribers mean the world to me. So that's it for today. We'll see you again right here on Beer and Watches on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your week, and don't forget, if you haven't seen it, click on this video right here and also click on the Beer and Watches logo right there to subscribe. Thanks so much, guys, and bye for now.